Hi everybody, welcome to my studio. It's an organized mess. Always has been, probably always will. I find the bigger the studio I have, the bigger the mess. So anyways, we enjoy it. I have artifacts and souvenirs from, I've traveled all over the world. Collected some beautiful things in Vietnam and China, and Bhutan. Have some nice instruments on the walls on the other side, so it's very comfortable, and I hope you're having a good evening. And thanks for joining us. This is about the fifth time we've had this drawing sale, and really enjoy it. We're worn out. I'm kind of dead tired, so I apologize. My back has been bothering me when I get that way, so my voice gets a little raspy. But here I think you can see a good example of what I love to draw. This is a scene from Mexico many years ago. I used to go down there quite a bit, about 30 years in a row. And when I first went, it was dirt cheap. You know, you could get a great hotel for $15. Remember the first time we went down with a friend the first time, and it was quite an adventure. And first hotel we found, late at night, it was $2 a night. And it had straw mattresses and a lone light bulb for life. So it's always an adventure. I just love to travel, love those adventures. I made a point to go to as many exotic places that I could. So a lot of the drawings are from Mexico, Guatemala, China, India, Vietnam, Bhutan, and all over the United States. And so it's been a delight. I've loved drawing all my life. Started when I was 4. And so fortunately, I love to do it because, it's the backbone of making a painting for the most part. My experience and all my teaching and everything, and I think most artists will tell you, the better you can draw, the better you can design. Because what we're doing is we're developing our eye and developing our judgment. And you don't have to be drawing the human figure. If you draw fire hydrants or lamps, garages, cars, anything where you're making a judgment on how high, wide, or how high is something, using that, you're developing your eye. So I don't want to get in too much to all the teaching part, a little bit, because that's kind of part of what I'm doing. I take a lot of photos. Some of these trips, we found out in going to these trips is a place like a Mexican market. We would set up and paint and stuff, but hundreds of people would be around and coming around. And a whole wonderful world would be going by us. Ox carts, donkeys, people with all sorts of stuff. I can show you some things, some examples of stuff. So we were going nuts. All this wonderful stuff was going by, so we were sitting there painting for 2 or 3 hours. The cover on the drawing sale was a Mexican man that I found. Here's a good example of kind of things. It first went down with the great old markets here. This was from a primitive Indian site called the Tarahumaras, up in a place called Copper Canyon. A beautiful canyon, bigger than our Grand Canyon, wider and deeper, not as beautiful, but very impressive. The Spaniards drove them, Indians, back in their 15th century, and they became isolated. And they're still considered a primitive Indian, so it's quite an exciting adventure going back in there. A lot of stories, a lot of great material down there. For those who like to do figures or even landscapes, it helps to have good material you're excited about. Now, I've always loved traveling. I've wanted to go to exotic places. I love people. I love being around different cultures. So I was like a kid in a candy store. So it was great for me. It was, we usually end up drawing or painting the things we love. Or for the most part, that's what we probably should be doing, because it kind of shows in our work. If we don't enjoy what we're doing, it'll show in our work. I'll show you around the studio a little bit. Here's a couple samples. This, frame a nice drawing. They really look good. Most artists love drawings because they appreciate the value and how important it is. So when I sell most of my drawings, I sell to artists. Some collectors appreciate them; they understand. But artists are collectors too. This one over here is a little takeoff. It's a camel from Rajasthan in India. Made a wonderful trip there with 7 other artists. It was really a great trip, and I think I called that Her Majesty. So everybody laughed. And over here, well, here's some of the stuff I collect. There's some instruments over there on the right from India and China. They're cheap, like the old violin. I think I paid $15 for that. I mean, that was the other nice thing about going to some of these places. At least they used to be pretty cheap. And so the next one is a head from, the puppets there are from China. And let's see, it's hard to remember this next set of clothing. I think that was Bhutan or might be Vietnam. And most of the little shoes and hats are from Vietnam, and all these outfits down here. You get a whole outfit in Vietnam, up in Hanoi. They have these great places you can buy this great set of clothing, maybe $20, $30 for a whole set. And then I just got stuff piled up here. Studies, old paintings, some pastels, and posters. Over here we got couple of drawings. This one on the right was from Guatemala. This was a painter doing a plein air painting in plein air show in Wexford, and this was a reference. So you can get some idea. With a great pose like that and in a great outfit, I make a few changes, background, and add things here and there, leave a few things out, but try to design just a simple drawing like that is a lot of fun. And down here again is a lot of reference. There's some great reference. These are from the Tarahumara, northern Mexico. It was during Easter. But I could go on and tell a million stories of each. Here's some from India. Look how colorful that is. This was just ran on to, some people working with sacking grains. This is from a famous camel fair in Rajasthan. It was really a delight. It was like being on a Kipling biblical set. And so I just loved it. Some more things, really, you're not going to see anything like this in downtown Seattle. So it was great. Here we caught some women in India washing clothes. And here's some individual pictures from markets. You have a lot of ox carts, camels. It's just a delight. Here's a couple scenes at Tarahumara at Easter. They beat the drums all 3 days in a row. They celebrate. So what else? Oh, over here, there's some of the studies that I have in the show. I've done hundreds of these. I've just got piles of them I've done over, a span of, I'm 83. I started when I was 4. Here's an example. Here's a great photo. Some Tarahumara women sitting in the corner. And then I did 3 different versions. I did value studies of, and I think I've got this one for sale in the show. Landscapes. These are some of my pictures I took from a festival in Ireland, and they just had a little cabin there where they had tea and biscuits and stuff, and then here was a value study putting these 2 photos together. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy them, and doing these, this is a creative part of, you don't see much of these unless you're taking a workshop or you got a book, but this is where the nuts and bolts and your ideas are made to be put down and work out a nice design. And if you apply the principles and elements of design to your studies, to your paintings will get better. It's as simple as that. But we have to know what they are, and we kind of have to know how to organize them. And of course, you got to have good reference. That's really important. So, and I've got, as you can see, a ton of books, art books. Wish I could say I've read them all. I've certainly looked at them all, but you get most of us we get just to look at the images. And I've got twice as many in the other room yet. So I kind of run out of things to say here. Do we have any questions?
Well, Vicky says she's learned a lot about design from you, Vicky Perry.
Well, thanks, Vicky. It's kind of you to say that. It certainly shows in your work. Yeah, it really makes a difference. It's surprising how many people aren't aware of what the principles and elements of design are. They don't like to call them rules, but they're there and to make your painting better. Have different spacing, different heights of trees. You don't want any bad tangents. You want overlaps, quiet areas, busy areas. All that stuff, if we consider it, it makes our paintings better. Certainly there's stuff to be said for doing spontaneous things, like often, say a quick draw or plein air. But even that, our studio work, where we have more time to think about this stuff and designing it, that gets in our head and that gets in our plein air work. I'm convinced, after teaching for so many years, that most of our paintings are ruined at the start because we haven't given enough thought to what we're going to do with it.
Peter asks, over the years, in your experience, what has been the hardest thing for you to draw?
Hardest thing to draw?
Hardest thing.
Oh, man. I don't know. You know what? If I was an illustration major, so and I was lucky. I went to one of the best art schools, not just in the country, but in the world. Art Center School of Design. Students went there from all over the world. But I just took a lot of drawing. I realized, boy, if I'm going to survive, I better get that basic, important skill down. So every extra chance I had, I did life drawing. That's probably the hardest thing to do, is to draw the human figure well, knowing the muscles and all of that. So that was hard, and because it's difficult, other things makes it so much easier to draw a mountain or trees or bushes or buildings. Enables you to get perspective down. I got perspective down so well, I could eyeball things in 3-point perspective pretty good. I did some complex nuclear reactors in 3-point perspective and eyeballed most of it. I was able. The other thing is I don't have depth perception, so it's weird. I'm nearsighted in one eye, farsighted, so everything was flat. I was devastated as a kid because I couldn't hit a curveball. Everybody else could. And I found out later I couldn't see it because it was flat. So I think that Mother Nature compensated, and it let me, I was making judgments with my mind unconsciously. So I think that might have helped a lot. But
does that explain your driving?
It's what?
Does that explain your driving?
My driving. I'm missing that.
It's okay. No depth perception.
Oh no! Yeah. I managed. But yeah, I guess the drawing. If you can draw the figure, you can pretty much do anything. I was able to, I could do portraits, I could do figures, I could do landscape. If you can draw the figure well, you can draw just about anything, and enabled me to do all those things. And I also was able to do pretty good in all the mediums. Watercolor, pastel, oils, I was doing them all. I mean, when I was young, I thought you had to do all this to be this great artist. So I did. But I could do them all pretty well because I could draw well. It can forgive a lot of sins. But there again, for those of you who don't want to do the figures, if you draw enough trees or things, but draw, whatever it is. If you're in an airport or you're waiting in the dentist, if you have a little sketchbook, anytime you're drawing, you're improving your eye and your judgment. So I encourage people to do that. It's a good habit to get into.
So how do we see your show?
How do I see it?
How do we see it?
I know. I've been looking at these drawings for a long time.
So you go to your website?
How you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, go to my website, and it's under fifth annual, the menu thing, it's under fifth annual drawing sale. I don't put anything in a show or gallery that I'm not proud of. I'm pretty hard on myself and what I do, and so all of these, may have, some of you that know may have like a life drawing sketch. You may not appreciate it, but I like a sketch before because of the movement and the spontaneity and some of those qualities. So yeah, I'm proud of them all. Yeah, I wouldn't put them up there if they, put it this way, when I was in Art Center, it was a hard school to get into. And I got in, I got lucky, I got a scholarship there again because I could draw well. And it was even harder to get out of. If you didn't meet their high standards, they asked you to leave. So that kind of carries over into your professional work and into my work.
Okay, no more questions. So your website is where?
www.nedmuller.com. Yeah. So, okay, we'll go through this again. We got those, and then you should there. See, you come down here, and it runs out. So you can pick two, or I just go to all, and then all of them come up. Yeah, so nice mixture of portraits, value studies, costume. This is what I call a costume one over here on the right. That was a market scene from China. The same below, except the one below is a value study. And I threw in a portrait of a camel. It's considered a portrait. I want to do more animal portraits. Camels they got such great faces anyway. Last question. Sorry we didn't have any wine or cheese for you. But I appreciate you taking the time to tune in. I hope you get a chance to look at the exhibit and sale. I've got a nice variety of prices, different sizes. Some are more complicated than others, so I think I got something there for everybody. Thanks, everybody. Take care. Have a great Thanksgiving.